My name is Steven Carrion. I am a senior and I am majoring in interdisciplinary environmental studies. For my thesis project, I determined different factors that influence the transplant success of the smooth cordgrass, which is a plant that can live in different varying salinities, going from freshwater to saltwater. And its scientific name is Spartina alterniflorum, and it's a foundation species in a lot of different salt marshes. They transplant these natural vegetation into shorelines, and they also add oyster reefs or different types of natural infrastructure, which could be different concrete designs that also encourage the growth of different species like oysters on them. And these type of living shorelines are environmentally friendly and more cost-effective than hard armoring and using things such as seawalls, which don't allow for any type of habitat forming, which you would see with living shorelines. I originally grew up in Colombia, and I would spend a lot of the summers traveling to the coast, and they have really beautiful beaches, and in some areas there's coral reefs right next to different coves. So I was really inspired by that as a kid, but I never thought that I could become a marine biologist because I thought it was just something that geniuses did. But as soon as I got into college, I realized that anything was really possible. And so I started getting involved in different projects ranging from working with toads and skinks to chasing dolphins and looking at helping with photo identification. And eventually I ended up getting into a National Science Foundation, RU, research experience for undergraduates in Louisiana studying the BP oil spill effects. And that's really where I realized that this is what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. For that project, I ended up finding out that there was significant differences in community assemblages, which meant that 3 years after the BP oil spill, there were still differences in the different types of species that were living in oiled areas compared to unoiled areas. And this research is still going on because there needs to be more data in order to be conclusive. From what I was reading, jellyfish had a high tolerance to a lot of different environmental disturbances, so I wanted to see if in these areas jellyfish could basically have higher predation on their prey. So I ended up contacting a researcher that was working on similar projects. She told me that she was working in Italy, and she ended up drafting a schedule of things that we could do. I ended up getting grant funding to go to Italy and studying this species of jellyfish called Velella velella. So after my experience in Louisiana and after my experience in Italy, I realized that there was no community here, and so I wanted to form a community that was open and available to anyone in any major. I founded the Mad Scientist Research Society, and I'm the current president. So in the future, I hope to become an environmental scientist, and I want to be working with policymakers as a governmental advisor, and also working with different scientists from different disciplines to enact multilateral agreements. And I do want to work with different countries to build research capacity.